Hello again, and welcome to another edition of Connecting with Augusta County Schools. I am Eric Bond, Division Superintendent, and we're so glad to have you with us today for another episode. We have several guests with us here talking about our exploration block that we have in our elementary schools. So first, let me have some introductions. We have Ms. Jane Wright. She is our Director of Elementary Education. We have Ms. Miriam Burrows from the Community Foundation. Welcome. We also have with us Mr. Alex Waring, the Public Affairs Manager from the Wildlife Center of Virginia. And we also have Mr. Zach Hedrick, our fifth grade teacher at Craigsville Elementary School. Welcome to all of our guests. What I'd like to start out with is just talk to a couple of you about your connection to this project that we have here with our exploration block. Mr. Hedrick, we'll start with you. If you could just kind of tell our listeners about your role and about this project in general.
So this exploration block is trying to connect the 5 C's in along with the learning atmosphere. And with this unit of our service project, we are collecting walnuts and acorns to be donated to the Virginia Wildlife Center for their animals to eat during the winter. My favorite part of teaching this unit is to see the students' excitement and to give back to their community, as well as when we went to the Wildlife Center, students could make a connection to not just a nonprofit, but also a outreach program that we could give back and help out and where they're in need.
Well, thank you, Mr. Hedrick. Again, we appreciate your dedication to our students and, more importantly, this special project that we have going on with the exploration block and such a worthy cause. Ms. Burrows, shifting to you, tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and the role in which you serve at the Community Foundation and the Community Foundation's role with this project.
I am Miriam Burrows. I'm the Director of Educational Programs for the Community Foundation. For the last several years, I've headed up the Youth Philanthropy Council for high school students in Augusta County, Stanton, and Waynesboro. A couple years ago, my high school students said they wanted a glossary of terms to help kind of walk them through what a nonprofit was, what philanthropy was. And so instead of giving them a glossary, I made a movie with my then third grade son. And so I thought that if I could teach it to elementary schools, then I could more easily translate it to my high school students. So when Jane approached me about putting together some curriculum and some resources for a citizenship project for Augusta County Schools, I kind of figured I already had the base of some of that information that we could create from. So we created YPC Junior for Augusta County Schools. And so that's how it all started.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, we certainly appreciate your enthusiasm and your love for your education program there at the Foundation, and certainly the partnership with you and all of our programs with Augusta County Schools is greatly appreciated. So thank you again for being with us here today. We'll have some more questions for you here shortly. Ms. Wright, welcome again. And again, if you can just kind of tell listeners a little bit about this unit.
Okay, I'm going to go give you some background a little bit about just what fifth grade exploration block is about. So as a division, we opted to move all of Virginia studies to grade 4, which allowed us to create a locally designed course for grade 5. And we wanted to tie this into the 5 C's, which are communication, collaboration, creative thinking, citizenship, and critical thinking. So we really felt like that these 21st century skills would help students find success across the content areas as well as future endeavors. So Unit 5, as you mentioned, is all about citizenship. And in this unit, the students focus on philanthropy and service to their community. And that made reaching out to Miriam with the Community Foundation basically a no-brainer because they are already heavily involved in support education, making them just a great partner. So with the Community Foundation, they helped make this unit kind of come to life. Miriam had an idea as children learned about philanthropy. She wanted them not only to give money, but she wanted them to serve in some way. So each fifth grade class was given $100 by the Community Foundation, and then they in turn could research all of the nonprofit organizations in Augusta County and decide through a democratic process who they would give that $100 to. And then they had to also research which organization they wanted to do a service project for. After they researched, they presented their choices to their classmates. Some even went as far as they wanted to choose organizations outside the ones on the list. So they had to write persuasive emails to me and convince me why this organization was worthy to earn this $100 or which organization they wanted to serve. Some of them even went as far as they kind of formed a panel and presented their choices to their principal to convince their principal what they wanted to do. So it really kind of took a life on of its own, and it's just been incredible to see how the kids have gotten into this, and just I think it's going to be changing for them that they'll take this service on into adulthood.
Can I add that the kids walk away from this time with us knowing that philanthropy means love of humankind, that it's not just about money, and it's about taking care of our neighbors. And so that when they grow into adulthood and they become citizens of our community, when they think about philanthropy, they think about taking care of their neighbors, and they think about what that word means. And I think that that is a very valuable thing to have in our future citizens.
Miriam actually had the opportunity to come to each school and present to them about philanthropy, but, teaching them that even things like holding the door and just, we started with those simple things of what they could do each and every day within their school community, and then branched that out to their local communities.
Well, thank you, Ms. Burrows, and thank you, Ms. Wright. Let me just jump into some more questions for you folks. Ms. Burrows, we'll start with you. Why did you decide to collaborate or invest in this project with our fifth grade students?
I have a son who is in sixth grade this year, and I talk a lot about my job with him. And I feel like the material is very translatable to elementary aged kids. So creating something that I think would be fun for him and his friends, it was an easy jump for me to want to create this for a larger audience. And I truly believe that we have an instinct to indeed take care of our neighbors. And if I can just teach that there's an attachment to that can grow into adulthood, then I want to plant those seeds and help do that for our community. I love this. I love this community so much. And I think that one of the rich aspects of our community is that we take care of each other and that we know how to do that.
Oh, I would agree with that 100%. And not only the community at large, but our school community itself. I think we take pride in taking care of ourselves and having a family atmosphere, and just being better citizens every day is something that we strive to accomplish. So I agree with you 100% on that. Mrs. Wright, collaborating with community members is a large piece of this unit. Why was that so important to you?
I think the concept of collaborating with community just embodies what citizenship is all about. And, so much of the time our lessons focus on things that kids can only see or do in the classroom. But when we can take it out of the classroom and have it relatable to their life, and to really make them see the realness that this has implications beyond this one unit or beyond this one lesson.
Mr. Hedrick, I'm going to switch to you. As a teacher there at Craigsville Elementary and one of our fifth grade teachers, what's been your favorite part of teaching this unit and why?
So basically knowing that you could just do the littlest things by going and collecting an acorn or going to collect a walnut. Driving out to Craigsville, you drive past I don't know how many walnut trees. And just being able to go and have a hands-on activity and bring the overall aspect of giving back to the wildlife that's around us just kind of makes you smile and see, hey, we can do the small things. We can do the dirty work to go and collect the stuff to be able to provide food or provide something to be preserved throughout the winter that animals are in need of.
So, Mr. Hedrick, you've seen your students in action. What are some of the things that have impressed you the most about your students as they work through this project?
So the things that just have impressed me the most are they go back on those 5 C's. I think that the 3 main skills that I have seen are their collaboration skills, being able to work with one another, being able to communicate not just with myself but everybody else, and then also just be creative in their own thinking.
Outstanding. It's so incredibly important that we embed that in our day-to-day operations when we're teaching our children. sometimes we use the word problem solving, and I think when you apply the 5 Cs, it's the way you solve problems in the world. And as we can get our students involved in that sooner than later, I just think it builds for a better citizenship. So thank you again for your leadership on that. Ms. Wright, as one of the architects of the exploration block, what do you hope is a lasting impact?
Good question. I think I would have to say, as that's been mentioned, students had to research all these different organizations, and then they had to convince their peers which organization they wanted to either serve or donate money to. So during all of that, some students didn't get their own way. And I think I would want the lasting impact to be that we all have differing opinions, but by working together, we can come together for a cause. And they showed that, and they did that. I want our students to realize that through this union of ideas that they can make a difference in their community, not only with money, but with actively doing service. And, my hope would be that they would never forget that, and that they would continue to serve our local community in those ways.
Yeah, for sure. Ms. Burrows, a couple last questions for you. If any of our listeners are interested in helping their local community, what are some of the first steps they can take to get involved, and what advice do you have for any of them that want to get involved?
It's a really good question. Again, I think that you start with your immediate surroundings. You start with your neighbors. You start by listening to your community's needs. Help your neighbor take out their trash. You see the bell ringers outside of the food line and the Walmart. You can always go to the Salvation Army and sign up to ring the bell. There's lots of ways to do service for our community, and it doesn't just have to be about a nonprofit. And if you want bigger ideas, you can always email me at mburrows@cfcbr.org, and I would be happy to point you in the right direction.
Well, thank you. Thank you all for being part of the podcast. I do appreciate all that you three have done in leading this effort, and really for the betterment of our students. It's a wonderful project, so thank you.
Can I say one more thing?
Sure.
We've not announced who all of the nonprofits are that are receiving money, so I'd love to give a list of the final tally. The Salvation Army will get a check for $100. The Augusta County Fair will get a check for $100. The Infant Toddler Connection will get a check for $200. Augusta Dog Adoptions will get a check for $200. The Blue Ridge Area Food Bank will get a check for $400. Augusta Health Foundation will get a check for $300. And our big winner, the Wildlife Center of Virginia, is going to get a check for $2,000 from your community foundation.
Outstanding. Yay. Congratulations.
I give a huge thanks and shout out to you guys for supporting the fifth graders of the Augusta County Schools. You guys did a great job. You won their hearts, and thank you. We so appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you all. Congratulations to everyone, but a special congratulations to the Wildlife Center. That is outstanding, and thank you to all of our fifth graders across Augusta County Schools for your diligence and hard work on this project. It means a lot to the community, so thank you all very much. As Ms. Burrows said, the big winner of $2,000 that was donated went to the Wildlife Center of Virginia. And so we're very, very fortunate to have Mr. Alex Waring from the Wildlife Center of Virginia here with us. Mr. Waring, welcome to Connecting with Augusta County Schools.
Hi, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm excited.
Well, we're excited to have you here. And if you could tell our listeners about the Wildlife Center of Virginia, what problems does this organization try to solve?
Sure, I'd be delighted to. The Wildlife Center of Virginia is a nonprofit teaching and research hospital for native wildlife. The way I like to describe to people exactly what it is we do and why we do it is to take that textbook definition and kind of examine the phrasing word by word. There's a key word that I used that helps us understand exactly what kind of wildlife we take care of at our hospital, and that's the word native. We only take care of wild animals that are native to Virginia. So animals like zebras and, elephants and giraffes, those are certainly wild animals, but they don't live here in Virginia. On the other hand, there are more than 200 species of native wildlife that have been represented as patients at our hospital. Everything from some of the biggest animals that you might see out in the wild, things like bald eagles, black bears, bobcats, snapping turtles, all the way down to some of the smallest animals you might see out there, like toads and frogs. That's one of my favorite things about the Wildlife Center of Virginia, is that we will provide emergency veterinary care for toads and frogs. I also mentioned that we are a teaching and research hospital. So this is, I think, something that is pretty important to know about the Wildlife Center of Virginia. As a teaching and research hospital, our ultimate goal is to help the world understand how they can help wildlife in the environment. So it's about more than just patching up broken animals and sending them back out into the wild. It's about giving people the information and the knowledge that they need to make informed decisions on how they interact with wildlife, so that this generation, we can protect our wildlife and the environment, but so can future generations. Lastly, I did mention that we're a nonprofit organization, so you guys know all about that now, thanks to your course curriculums. But the way I like to describe it to people about the Wildlife Center is that when they bring animals to us, say, for example, someone finds a red-tailed hawk that has a broken wing. When they bring it to our hospital, it doesn't cost a single penny. It doesn't cost any money whatsoever. Maybe a patient will be with us for a couple of days and just needs kind of a warm, quiet place to recuperate. Sometimes patients are with us for a full year, but for either of those, there's no charge whatsoever to the public. We are not a government agency, so we don't get any tax dollars. All the services we provide, we're able to do so because of the generosity of people like yourselves sitting in this room. That's how we can do what we do, thanks to you guys.
Mr. Wing, as a nonprofit organization, why do these supports, like the ones our fifth graders have contributed, help your organization? Specifically, our guests from Craigsville that are here today collected acorns and walnuts. How does that help the Wildlife Center of Virginia?
Sure. So there are many ways to help the Wildlife Center and support the Wildlife Center, and not all of them have to do with donating money. Some of the ways that people can support us are through, donating their time as a volunteer, or by helping us spread the word on our educational messages, what to do with wildlife, what you should do in this situation. The acorns and the walnuts that have been foraged and collected and cleaned and prepared and donated to the Wildlife Center, those will be fed to our patients throughout the winter. So animals that would eat acorns and walnuts, things you would expect like squirrels and little bunnies and even white-tailed deer. But sometimes people are a little surprised to learn that other animals also eat that hard mast. Those are the nuts, like black bears. Right now, currently, the Wildlife Center of Virginia is taking care of 5 black bears. Wow. The Wildlife Center of Virginia is the only wildlife hospital in the entire state that is permitted to care for black bears, partly because we have the right setting for them. Those bears were all admitted in the spring of this year. They were little tiny bears. They were all orphaned, but they will all be with us until this coming spring, around April 2024. The reason they are with us for so long is because that mimics their natural lifestyle. When they come to us, these little tiny orphan bears, sometimes they're just 3, 4, 5 pounds. They're little things. Sure. But they grow pretty quickly. Right. So at this point, they are well over 100 pounds each. They're considered to be yearlings, so kind of like teenagers. And just like other teenagers, they eat a lot. The late fall, when they're really packing on the calories, preparing for winter, these 5 bears were eating a combined total of about 800 pounds of food per week. So that includes things like walnuts, acorns, produce and fruits and veggies that have been donated from other organizations and institutions. It all makes a difference. It all counts, especially during the winter time when these animals are the most in need. So that's one way that your students and these donations, specifically these nuts, are really making a difference and are really helping us care for our patients throughout the winter.
So, as you said, with the healthy appetite of your patients there at the Wildlife Center of Virginia, any kind of donation you can get for additional food product is always a good thing. And obviously what the fifth graders are doing at Craigsville Elementary School, contributing to that with the walnuts and acorns is something that's very important and something that I take that you're very grateful for. So let me ask you one last question. And you may have touched on this a little bit with some of the previous responses, but as a nonprofit organization, how does it feel having that community support, and what does that mean to your organization?
Well, as a nonprofit, it means everything to us to have the support of our community on whatever scale that might be. Our local community, regional, nationwide. caring for wildlife, it really does take a village, and everyone has a part to play in helping to care for wildlife. I've heard you guys bring up the 5 C's. I think one of the C's was citizenship. I think that is just such a great way to summarize how we can all help take care of wildlife and the environment, because being a citizen and being a civilian are different things. Citizens are active in their communities. They give back to their communities. I think that is very applicable. It is true when it comes to caring for wildlife and the environment as well. And I think a great way that this kind of connects back to the Wildlife Center is that, I mentioned earlier, the way that we see it is to do more than just take care of sick and injured and orphaned animals. Our job is to teach the world to care about and to care for wildlife and the environment. One of the ways we do that is through our community, making sure that we, as at the Wildlife Center, give the knowledge to the people that live around us so that they can teach others, and those people can teach others. It's a domino effect. And so this community support plays into that, in my mind.
Fantastic. So thank you, Mr. Waring, for being with us on our show today. Thank you for all that you're doing at the Wildlife Center of Virginia, and we greatly appreciate it.
And thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. So we're very, very excited today to have 2 of our 5th graders from Craigsville Elementary School that have been involved in this class and this project. We have Austin Sensabaugh and Isabel Marks. Welcome to Connecting with Augusta County Schools.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Isabel, we're going to start with you, okay? So if you can introduce yourself to our listeners, tell us your name and your favorite part of 5th grade.
Hello, my name is Isabel, and my favorite part of 5th grade is making friends.
Wonderful. And Austin, same question.
My name's Austin, and I love math in 5th grade because I like to learn more about multiplication every day.
All right. I'm with you, Austin. I love math. Isabel, if you could describe your citizenship unit in one word, what would that one word be?
If I could choose a word, it would be proud. Proud is the word I chose because I'm proud that I have helped people.
Well, we're very proud of you for doing this. That's a great word. And Austin, what about you? What's one word that you would use to describe your citizenship unit?
My word's helpful because we sent money to the food bank for the citizens that really need food. We also collected acorns and walnuts for the Wildlife Center, and this will help animals.
Fantastic. Thank you guys for that. Isabel, do you think participating in this unit was important, and why or why not?
I think participating in this unit was important because it can teach people why they should donate to certain places. I learned about a new place, the Wildlife Center.
Thank you, Isabel. And Austin, same question. Do you think this was important?
Yes, because I learned to help people by using my own time.
Fantastic. So helping people is so important, especially helping people in our community. Isabel, what advice would you give other students listening about helping their community?
Even though it might seem boring, just spending a little time helping out can help so much.
Very good. I agree with that. What about you, Austin?
Donate the things that you don't play with anymore and the clothes that have got too small for you.
Fantastic. So I got one last question for you. Your class decided to help with the Virginia Wildlife Center. Isabel, why did your class decide to support this nonprofit organization?
Our class decided to help out the Wildlife Center because they can have a lot of animals at once but a little food. So when we donate, they won't starve.
Very good. Austin, what do you think? Why did your class decide to support this nonprofit organization at the Virginia Wildlife Center?
Because we didn't want the animals to starve and we wanted them to be healthy.
Very good. Well, thank you again, Austin and Isabel, for being part of our show. And thank you to all of our guests for being with us on a very special episode of Connecting with Augusta County Schools. Thanks again to all of our listeners for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel to get updates on our latest episodes. Our episodes can always be found on Augusta County Schools' Facebook page and website.